Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody's having an excellent time. It's been a while, but there are a few changes here at Soundwise, of which I will tell you more pretty soon. For the moment, I would like to do a short video about something that I think helped quite a few of my students and I might want to share with you. First of all, I would like to show you this new Gibson SG that I just got. And I must say that over the last couple of years, I think the guys working at Gibson finally were allowed to spend a bit more time on the guitars and make sure that they deliver something that is really good. I mean, compared to the guitars I've tried 5 years ago, this is totally different. This guitar is finished. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Everything is immaculate. The guitars are all plicked these days, so they got their plick machines at Gibson, and they took some time to build this guitar. Everything is just the way you should be able to expect from a company like Gibson. So very pleased with that guitar. Okay, back on topic. In our never-ending quest to play lead lines over chord progressions, I've noticed that the shortcut that we as guitar players have playing pentatonic over changes sometimes doesn't help us to play the most interesting notes. And that is because that shortcut allows us to get away with playing a very simple thing over changes that might be more complicated and might actually require a different approach. You can play minor pentatonic over major chords in any blues rock context, and that will get you a long way. To help you play actually through the changes and pinpoint the changes better, there is a next step, and I want to talk about that next step. As an example, let's use a minor blues, and I've picked a backing track that was created by Gilad Perry. I think you can find them on YouTube. It's A minor slow blues, something like that, and I think it's one of the most downloaded backing tracks in YouTube history, so you should be able to find it quite easily. Now let's first talk about all the different components in the recipe. First of all, it's a blues, so everybody should probably knows that a blues usually uses 3 chords: the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. A standard blues is 12 bars. The first 4 bars, in its most basic form, you play the 1 chord, in this case A minor. Then on the 5th and 6th bar you play the 4 chord, in this case D minor. 7th and 8th bar you play A minor again. Bar 9 you play the 5 chord. Bar 10 you play the 4 chord. Bar 11 you play the 1 chord, and bar 12 you play the 1 chord or the 5 chord again. That will bring you back to the top of the progression. And of course, there are variations to that, but this is the basic construction of a blues. Now you could play on an A minor blues, A minor, all over those 12 bars. And this is the pitfall, because most people start with learning the A minor pentatonic scale over here. And the fact that you learn this pentatonic box might get you stuck in there, because it's a solution for that 12 bar blues, and you can get away with actually just that, playing over the 12 bars, but it might get a bit boring after a while. And as we know in music, the most important part of music is the harmony, the changes. 1 chord leads to the next chord, and that could create something, a feeling by the listener, an emotion. Just playing 1 chord doesn't mean anything. That's just a chord. Playing 2 chords might provoke something with the listener that could be interesting and might offer something for the singer to sing on top of that, or a soloist. So 1 chord is static. Going from 1 chord to the next is a dynamic approach and offers the backbone of music. And of course, there are styles of music where you stay on 1 chord for a very long time. That creates tension, and if you then move to the next chord, it sort of creates the harmonic progression that way. In the blues, the harmonic progression is quite straightforward: 1, 4, 5, 1. In a minor blues, there's a slightly different approach to the last 4 bars. The first bar of the last 4 bars is sometimes you play the flat 6 chord. Then the next bar you play the 5th chord. Then you go to the 1. And you could stay on the 1 or go to the 5 chord again to bring you back to the top of the progression. So that is slightly different than a major blues. So this is in a minor blues. You start with the 1 chord, 4 bars in its most basic form. The 5th bar is the 4 chord, D minor in this case. The 7th bar is back to the 1 chord. The 9th bar is F. 10th bar is E, so the 5. And then you go back to the 1. And you could go back to the 5 at the last bar to bring you back to the 1. So as I said, we could play A minor pentatonic over the whole thing. And that will sound fine for a while. The interesting thing about chords changing are the changes that they bring. So there's a difference between A minor chord and a D minor chord. You could play the minor pentatonic of every chord in that progression. So when you go to the 4 chord, you could play D minor pentatonic. A lot of people do that and they use a D minor pentatonic box, and a lot of the times they use the same box that they used on the A minor pentatonic, but then just moved over to the D. That is good, because then you're actually using notes that are much closer related to the D minor chord. On the 5 chord, you could play E minor pentatonic and again move your box up 2 frets, and you're in E minor pentatonic. I said in a minor blues, the last line could be flat 6 major to go to the 5. On that flat 6 major, which is F, you could also play D minor pentatonic, because F major, because it's a major chord, F major pentatonic are the same notes as D minor, just as C major pentatonic and A minor pentatonic have the same notes. So they're related to each other. F major and D minor share the same notes. D minor is the relative minor of F major. So on that F major chord, you could play D minor again. So that makes it easy. First chord, A minor, you play A minor pentatonic. The 4th chord, D minor, you play D minor pentatonic. On the flat 6th chord, the F major, you play D minor pentatonic again. And then on the 5 chord, which is E, and this is where blues comes in, you can play E minor pentatonic. Although it's a major chord, you could play the minor pentatonic on that chord. And then it goes back to the 1, A minor pentatonic, and you could at the last bar play E7 again, and then again you can play E minor pentatonic. So that's all good, and it can be done by shifting your boxes. A minor, D minor, E minor, that's it. And you will sound close to the chords. The problem with that is that you don't actually know or see what notes change from one chord to the next. And I think that is the important thing that you should know. So when you play A minor pentatonic, and you play D minor pentatonic, what notes are similar and what notes are different? It's very hard to see if you go from there to there. So therefore, what I suggest these days is putting all the pentatonics on top of each other in the same spot. So instead of moving your box to D minor over here, you stay in this part, the 5th fret, and you play D minor pentatonic there, and then you look at the changes between the D minor pentatonic shape and the A minor pentatonic shape. And there's not a lot. So if this is A minor pentatonic, excuse me, and this is D minor pentatonic, The only note that differs between A minor and D minor is this one. In A, this note is an E, and in D minor pentatonic, it becomes an F. So the difference between A minor pentatonic and D minor pentatonic is just that note, the E that goes to an F. So if you know that, and you want to play your D minor pentatonic because the fourth chord comes up, you could focus on that change between E and F to highlight the fact that the harmony goes from A minor to D minor. Then when it goes back to A minor, you repeat the process, but then the other way around. You go from F back to E. That is the most important note. That's the note that changes between the D minor pentatonic and the A minor pentatonic. At the end, we go to E minor pentatonic. And if you look at the difference between E minor pentatonic and A minor pentatonic, and I will stay on the 5th fret as well, and then this is E minor pentatonic, you will notice that the only note that changes is the C becomes a B. A minor, E minor. So the C is replaced by a B. That's the difference between A minor and E minor pentatonic. So from A minor to D minor, one note changes. From E to F, A minor and E minor, the difference is C to B. Now, as you know, at the end of the blues progression, the chord changes go from F to E. So you actually go from D minor to E minor. And then there's two notes difference, of course. Both notes change. So from D minor to E minor, you go from the F to the E, and from the C to the B. So in D minor you have a C and an F. In E minor you have a B and an E. So there the difference are two notes, because you go from the D minor to the E minor and not to the A minor. It all sounds more complicated than it is. But if you focus just on those notes, you sort of highlight the changes better. And I try to give you an example. Hang on. That is at E. Play A minor pentatonic. Now D minor, and I go to F. You can hear that that is the note that actually makes the most sense. Back to A minor pentatonic. Gone a bit fast over the last bit, so again. E, because we're in A minor pentatonic. Back to A minor pentatonic. Now we go to F, and I will use that F note again. And E minor. So you can hear that there's a closer connection to the chords if you highlight those notes, instead of just playing A minor pentatonic. Now, knowing that, you could still move from one box to the next, taking into account those notes that are going to be important. So when I go from this box to this box, I now know that when I go to D minor, that the F note is a very important one, because that's the one that highlights the changes between one chord to the next. So I can focus on that note even if I'm here. Same when I go to E minor pentatonic. So if I would like to move up here because I want some higher notes, and I still focus on that B, because that is then the note that is new for that chord, I can do the same thing. But I'm here now. But I'm making conscious decisions, like I play the F and I play the B, because I know that those are the notes that are defining the changes. So I will repeat the same process, but I will shift the boxes. So on the A chord, I will play here. On the D minor pentatonic, I will play here, but I will focus on that F note, because that's the one that changes from one chord to the next. Back to A minor. On the F chord, I will do the same thing, D minor pentatonic. And then on the last chord, the E7 chord, I will play E minor pentatonic, and I will focus on the B, because that's the note that changes again. Go into the D, B, and back to C, A minor pentatonic. So that is one approach. You map all the pentatonics in one position, and once you've done that over there, you could do it here and play your A minor pentatonic here, then your D minor pentatonic, focusing on the changes again, A, D, and your E minor pentatonic, so now we've done it here, we've done it there. We could do it here as well, starting with A minor pentatonic here, D minor pentatonic here, and E minor pentatonic. So, since there are 5 pentatonic shapes, there are 5 pentatonic places on the neck where you can do the exercise. Placing all the pentatonics on top of each other, looking at the different notes going from one chord to the next, focusing on those notes and using them as your guide to pinpoint the changes. Now the last thing I can add to this is that of course there's a blues scale as well. So when you're on the A minor pentatonic, you can play the blue notes. The last piece of advice I would like to give you is that you can use some of the pentatonics instead of some of the pentatonics. What I mean by that is when the chord is A minor pentatonic, you could use E minor pentatonic, which is the 5th of A. So the pentatonic of the 5th works on the 1 as well. It will give you that B note, which is the only note that is different in the E minor pentatonic compared to the A minor pentatonic. If you look at the chord and that extra note, the E, it is the 9th. So the E minor pentatonic offers you one sort of outside note or one a pretension note on the chord. But the fact that you structure your ideas around the E minor pentatonic shapes will offer you different melodies. It's not just adding that note to the... You will be thinking differently because you are in E minor pentatonic. You might think more like... which is totally E minor pentatonic and not A minor pentatonic with an extra note. Now I'm going to play E minor pentatonic. D minor, okay guys, that was it for today. I hope you enjoyed it and you maybe learned something. Let me know in the comment section, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.